This live stream is presented to you by MaxspeedTV. All live streaming content that is presented in this telecast is owned by MaxspeedTV, Rudy Cummings, and the entire crew of MSTV. This may not be rebroadcasted, retransmitted, and retelevised without written consent. Please enjoy today's broadcast.
Don't count out Casey Drake in that 87. He's right.
One more lap to go here at Indy. He ran him all the way from 3 seconds back. 2 laps to go. Oh, Alto gets going. Oh, Matthew gets the apron around the Strexler. He spins right from the back. Huge wreck. The 2 flies up in the air. It's 3 wide. Oh, what a move by Derek. He wants to go.
Tries to send him up the hill, but can't quite do it.
Now between the two is 2 car lengths. Too little too late for Derek on Smith. Oh, clapping gets turned! Clapping gets turned! Oh my gosh! Side by side, 3 wide at the wire! Round number 4 out of 6 brings us to the Eldora Speedway. Here located in, I think, Rossburg, Ohio, right in the Midwest, where this is probably the first or second capital of what dirt racing means to everybody. Welcome here live for tonight's MaxspeedTV broadcast, as well as you get set up for a different kind of event, but still on the street stock side of things. But man, it's gonna be different. Go ahead and get yourselves situated out. My name is Icarus.
I'm Dewey Shram.
And I'm Kenneth Bueno.
Here tonight on the dirt side of things, as you see drivers taking laps around the famed half-miler and such, and McDowell just sort of toppling over there in the background. But today's gonna be a different type of race. All these drivers are definitely unexperienced on the dirt side of things. So I think you'll definitely see a filter on who's raced dirt the most and who's never hit dirt ever before. I'm curious on how this is all gonna go for all these drivers, and for people like the number 65, Dylan. Oh, I know he's really good at dirt. For him, this might be a breeze of a win. And you see here on the left side of your screen, only 20 drivers showing up here tonight. The number 24, I think Ryan Kwan, is yet to show up on the leaderboard, but here for tonight, I'm expecting, I honestly don't know what to expect, since this is the first time these street stocks have hit this, have hit the half-miler here at Eldora.
Well, you see up on the left side of the screen, the entire top 10 only separated by 1/10 of a second. So even though we have some guys that may run dirt more than other people, the entire field's pretty close together here on the practice board up to this point. But yeah, Dylan Auld, of course, won his first race back in iSCAR back on Saturday night, so he's off to a pretty good start, and of course topping the boards so far here tonight. So that 65's had a pretty triumphant return here so far, but perhaps the biggest storyline for tonight's event is Hunter Johnson will not be racing here tonight. Of course, he comes into tonight 33 points up on second place Sartaj Mann. He's opted to not race in order to watch the All-Star race currently airing on FS1. So perhaps a big opportunity for some guys deeper in the field to make up some ground on that 12 car.
You mentioned it, Zeke. First time we're here at Eldora Speedway, and I think we have a little bit of reference in terms of dirt racing here in the street stocks. Again, last season, when we had the Yost Auto Sales Street Stock Tour, we had Lanier Speedway, which was a way different track than what we have here. But I feel like with the drivers here, if they participated last season, they'll have that reference and something to look off of when it comes to strategizing their plan to making this race work. But of course, Eldora is a different beast. You have to watch out for it. You have to really treat it differently than any other track in the season. But Lanier could be a good sort of experiment to work off on this one. That's going to be interesting on how these drivers translate tonight.
Oh, no doubt about it, Kenneth. And you mentioned how, even though both of them are basically dirt ovals, they drive so drastically different. The lines in which they form out varies from track to track, and that's what's very unique about dirt racing is every track, even though they're nearly shaped the same, they're really different in characteristics. Volusia, Eldora, they're about the same shape, but Eldora is more banked, which gives it more speed. And you see, in turn, the groove widens out a ton. You see that higher side like to be used here, rather than what we saw at Lanier, where everybody was crowding right up against that inside wall. So I'm interested to see on what kind of line will start to show as we transfer into qualifying here in about a minute.
Yeah, of course, a dirt track will not have any rubber put down on it, but there can be grooves on dirt tracks, of course. If you do run on dirt enough, you do start to see a groove, of course. Even if you're just on a farm or even a grass patch, if you drive a car on the same grassy patch enough, you will start to see dirt appear where the tire marks are. So you can start to form grooves on dirt, just a little bit differently, though, than putting rubber down on an asphalt track.
And as the grooves change, the weather changes as well. I mean, you're looking at sunset right now in this practice session, but as soon as we get to the race, the night is going to start falling very, very soon. You look at the track conditions on the bottom right corner of your screen, 77 degrees Fahrenheit here at Rossburg, Ohio, an air temp of 81 degrees and a humidity of just 1%, so not to worry about any sort of rain on iRacing whatsoever. 3.3 mile per hour from the south and partly cloudy conditions, so we're looking at a pretty much picturesque, perfect setting here at Eldora Speedway. And you mentioned as the grooves change, as the night starts to come through and the lights start to turn on, of course, adaptability has to play into a factor, because as the track starts to change and as the night starts to go on, you have to start changing the way you drive the track. You have to start wondering maybe if it gets a little looser, maybe if it gets a little tighter, maybe this groove isn't as good as this one on the long run. Maybe you have a different set, than some of these other drivers to see. Of course, fixed setups, but still, you have to really adapt to this track, and that's something that I'm really looking forward to as the night starts to progress.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna go ahead and scoot ourselves to the side and cue up the national anthem. Rise up, remove your hats as we salute our nation's colors. We welcome you here back alive at Eldora Speedway, getting set to go green here in Rossburg, Ohio. Currently qualifying is underway. Drivers trying to set their fastest 2 of the night to get themselves situated. So we're coming up to a different format. Not a just a full-on 65 lap event. It's going to be a 65 laps plus heats, maybe a consolation race if we have enough people. But yeah, for these drivers, it'll be tough to tame the half mile, especially when you have so much experience on the asphalt side of things, as we see Harry Grindle taking laps around the racetrack.
Yeah, with only about 19 or 20 people, looks like we're not going to need the last chance qualifier. Perhaps it'll still set some field positions, but if anything at this point, the LCQ and the heat can just be used basically for extra practice, where you can start to feel the track and how you try to run your race around other people. So luckily, with only 20 people here, of course, we prefer to see a few more people out on the track, but for the guys that are qualifying right now, it gives them an opportunity to figure out any mistakes or issues they want to get out before the race actually starts.
Yeah, and this is also a good opportunity for a lot of these drivers to take advantage on the fact that this is a dirt track. Some drivers who are better on the dirt side of things that haven't really had the luck on the asphalt side of things throughout this season. This is their opportunity to try to take a shot at a race win, or maybe a good finish if maybe they're not finishing as well. I mean, you look at Keelan Belsha now in the top 5 in qualifying. He hasn't had a great runs in iSCAR over the past couple of weeks that he's been entered in, but this dirt side and this dirt race allows him to, get a little bit quicker and try to take advantage of the guys who maybe aren't as experienced on the dirt side of things. And it's one and done. This is the only dirt track you'll see on the season. We have Bristol and then Charlotte next time around to end the season. So the only time you'll see this dirt track, you have to take that shot. You have to seize that opportunity.
Yeah, of course, the last time, besides the short-lived Dirt Midget Series we had, the last time iSCAR went to a dirt track was here at Eldora. Of course, we went here in the most recent Truck Series, and Logan Clampett dominated an absolutely messy race that time. But it looks like Dominic Howe so far has actually gotten a better lap than Dylan Alt, so a bit of a surprise to see that 58 up at the top, but a really solid lap that he put down here.
Alright, and time will expire. Congratulations to Dominic Howe, who will be starting up front for heat number 1, which might be the only heat of tonight's event. Looks like 20 drivers will grid themselves up for this one, and yeah, it looks like everybody's going to be shoved into one heat. So basically this is just going to be a qualifying race, just to situate the grid and such. It would classically be top 10 secure themselves from a heat, but since we don't have a lot of drivers here for this, I'm pretty sure this will be the only heat slash consig that'll get ran for tonight's event. And drivers are now starting to get gridded up, waiting for 49, 48, 54, 84, number 3. Speaking of that, number 54 of Alex Stodinger. He's one of the dirt drivers who were racing the sprint car series, so you mentioned dirt faces showing up. That number 54 might be one of them.
I'm a bit surprised to see Aiden Saunders not on the grid here tonight. Of course, Aiden also one of the really good dirt racers that iSCAR has, and I believe he won a recent dirt race in iSCAR. Of course, I think he won one of the Midget Series races, so a bit surprised to see him not here, perhaps watching the All-Star race like Hunter is, but regardless, we'll line up here for the grid for what, again, should be just basically a practice session here.
And you mentioned Aiden Saunders. He actually won the street stock race at Lanier the last time we visited dirt on the street stock side of things last season. So, yeah, also surprising to not see him here. I was really expecting him to take this opportunity and try to get another win on the dirt side of things, since he's one of the better dirt drivers that we've seen in iSCAR. But again, the 54 also pretty experienced in dirt. He's ran the sprint car series. I remember talking to him when he ran his debut race in iSCAR and he first joined the sprint car series. I remember being in a voice chat somewhere with him. But then again, we still have a good chunk of drivers that are shifting the field in this top 10. Dominic Howe has been pretty good here on the dirt side of things. Dylan Alt, recently coming back into iSCAR, so good sight to see him back, and I'm excited to see what happens when we drop the green flag.
Yep, it will be an 8-lap event to get ourselves sparked off here at Eldora. Glad everybody could join us here for tonight. Get yourself situated and ask some questions. Hashtag AskMSTV, and we'll reply as best as we can. Pace car scoots itself onto pit road. Glad you could join us here for tonight. Green flag is out as Dominic Howe in the 58 will lead us to the green.
And Dominic got a good jump on that restart in turn number 1 as he looks like, oh, we got our car on the wall already. That is William Schmidt in the 79. As Dominic will lead them here into turn number 3 as a bunch of cars still grouped together here. Dylan Alt trying to make that very bottom side work, but they're still side by side. Here to turn 4, and Keelan Belch with a nice save.
Bunch of the guys trying to keep on to their race cars. As you see side by side, a lot more play-by-play action on the dirt side of things. As you see the multiple grooves already taking place. Nick Miller gaining some positions off of that start. He's trying to get there, but he's now under pressure from the 49. And speaking of pressure, that pressure is on Dominic Howe right now. Dylan Alt far around to the inside.
Side by side for the lead, and the 65 will throw a haymaker into one slide jump. We like to call that a dirt racing, where it originated from. Could not make the pass happen as Dylan Alt will fall back into second again, but will still door the 58 up the track, and to the lead goes Dylan Alt, but Dominic Howe is gonna fight back to the high side, and I think he still wants to keep it up front. Might do a crossover coming into turn number 2, and he sticks the nose to the inside, and here comes the 9, and Nick Miller sneaking in as well.
Yeah, Nick's going to make it possibly 3 wide here to turn 3. Goes way down on the bottom side trying to make it work. But out of turn number 4, oh, a bit of contact with Dominic and Dylan. Dylan's going to get the wall there, and Dominic will lead the left. And they're 3 wide again here in turn number 1.
Here's a middle slide job by the 65 of Dylan Alt, but they're still 3 wide. And now that's allowing the 79 of William Schmidt to take advantage. He gained a couple spots since the drop of the green flag. Now working the high line, trying to get a couple positions back, and so far successfully doing so right there in the middle with each other.
Contact gets made into turn number 1 as Alt will fling it to the inside. Dominic holding high really nicely as right up against that wall is the number 79 and William Schmidt trying to work up a cushion, but can't really do it as he's sort of stalling there at the apex of the corner. 2 laps to go as Dominic Howe will pull.
There's another car into this battle. That's the 49 of Sartaj Mon. He's gained right on these top 4 guys. We got a 5-car blanket here for this lead pack. For the lead, rather, as Dominic continues to lead here into turn number 3. Looks like he started to pull away from that 65 just a bit.
And the 2 drivers behind Nick Miller that are in contention for the point standings behind Hunter Johnson, who's not showing up today. The 49 of Sartaj Mon and the 48 of Michael Bianchini. Those 2 working 5th and 6th. We got the white flag out right now. Dominic Howe still in command.
1 set of corners remaining. Dominic will fling it to the inside. Alt will try a haymaker into 3. Can't make it happen off of the final corner. Dominic Howe will grid himself up in 1st, and Dylan Alt will be 2nd, respectively, as they started. But how about William Schmidt being in 3rd place?
Yeah, William definitely the biggest gainer there in our heat race. So congrats to Dominic on picking up the heat victory here tonight. Nick Miller in 4th, Sartaj Mon 5th, Michael Bianchini 6th, Andy McDowell 7th, Joe Burgee 8th, Kyler Wynn in 9th, and Garrett Hess 10th. So that will be your starting top 10 here for tonight's main event. That'll start here fairly shortly.
3 minutes of warm-up will go underway, but as we saw that race progress forward, saw those lines starting to be, you mentioned it, Dewey. You started to see characteristics of the track be shown. It went from a really tacky track to what looked like a 1-lane dry slick track, what we like to call it, in which the middle side of the racetrack is just all slicked off. You gotta find your car. You have to place your car at the right angle and at the right at the right speed as well to get as much grip off as you can. Here in dirt racing, it's all about throttle management. So for the 9 and Nick Miller, it might be fun running sideways, but it ain't the fastest around the racetrack.
Yeah, currently fastest though in this brief warm-up session. One last opportunity to maybe make a couple of adjustments here for tonight's main event. Of course, the laps here don't necessarily matter in terms of potentially picking a favorite for the race, but just, again, one more opportunity for anybody that maybe thought there was something a bit off with how their car was performing to maybe make a last-minute change that'll help them get towards the front.
I think the best thing about having pretty much every driver registered in one heat together is that we kind of saw a little preview of what the actual race in the main event will be like. We saw how much those drivers are changing their lines. We saw William Schmidt using the high line to his advantage, getting some spots off of that, and really making an impact in those final laps. And obviously you saw the battle for the lead with it was heating up dramatically over the course of that run, and how the track really changes. So I think that preview was really exciting. I think the main event will really show out and who's really the best tonight.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, that heat racing was textbook right there on how slide jobs were made and how this track how tracks change throughout the race. And that was just only 8 laps. We're gonna run a 65 lap event. That's fairly lengthy. Shorter caution laps because it's dirt racing. You're not required to slap on some fuel and such, but you mentioned it. I forgot what you mentioned. We're just gonna continue on. 13 seconds left in practice remaining. And looks like Nick Miller will top the charts.
Yeah, Kyler Wynn up to 3rd in this brief warm-up. A couple of people looks like did not take any time, but yeah, that'll be it for our mini little warm-up here for tonight's main event. If you're just now joining us here live, welcome to Eldora. Unfortunately, the truck race here next month has been axed due to the COVID-19 pandemic, so hopefully we can try to make up for that a little bit tonight here with, I forget how many laps are running tonight, but we're running a good amount of them. And we're
65.
Getting ready, 65, so we're getting ready here to go green for the Eldora main event. We've already run our one and only heat tonight. Dominic Howe, the winner of that, and the results from that heat determines tonight's starting lineup.
Yep, and that'll be shown on the that'll be shown on the right. I mean, not the right-hand side, but the left-hand side of the screen, as 19 drivers will grid themselves up. The number 24 of Noah Allison is not in the session. Oh man, I'm really excited to see how this will all play out, especially for those drivers toward the back. Interested in seeing on how they're going to perform here for tonight, but oh boy, it's going to be different. I'm excited.
For sure. Yeah, hopefully different in a good way rather than in a bad way, of course. Last week's street stock race at Darlington was a thing. Of course, we had 8 flips in last week's street stock race at Darlington, so hopefully we cut down on the amount of flips we have here tonight. I believe we had about 19 or 20 total on the whole weekend, so it was quite the interesting weekend of iSCAR racing, but we start anew here tonight. And we start here on this half-mile dirt oval owned by legend Tony Stewart.
Yep, that's alright. We'll do one more pace lap until we get going here. But yeah, Tony Stewart owns this track. This track hosts the World 100, which is famous to the, I think, World of Outlaws. I think it's actually just a standalone event. Also hosting multiple World of Outlaws events, ranging from Silver Crown. USAC runs here, sprint cars, late models, UMP, big block modifieds, a ton of various cars, which actually big block modifieds are going to be added to the iRacing servers here soon. So glad to see another dirt car inside the cycle.
Yeah, that's a really exciting update. I'm looking forward to as the pace car goes down pit road, and we are green here at Eldora. Yeah, iRacing scanning, of course, Stuart Friesen's big block modified that he races quite a bit during the year in addition to his truck series schedule. There's a bit of contact there with Nick Miller scraping the wall. Here comes Sartaj on the bottom as we're almost 4 wide into turn 3.
Bunch of battling with Garrett Hess. There's Joe Berge. There's a 20 Manny McDowell sideways in front of the 084 of Kyler Wynn. But look how far these drivers spread out. 4 wide with Nick Miller. Almost contact between William Schmidt and almost... Oh my goodness, this is amazing.
Oh man!
Bianchini and Miller right there. 4 wide in the middle of the turn. Schmidt way up on the... Oh! And gets into Sartaj. But they all hold on there. Still 4 wide on the front stretch.
4 wide into 1, and Andy trying to clear all of them. He slides up nearly into Bianchini. He might get turned doing it though as Kyler runs into him. They're still scrambling around down the back straightaway.
They were almost 5 wide into turn number 3. Nick's going to wash up here. Oh, and he turns Sartaj Mon right in front of the field, and that's going to be a huge pileup of cars. Oh, and man, someone just really flew in there, and that is going to be our first caution of the night. Joe Burgee, Jeremiah Bethune, looks like the 84. That's Kyler Wynn. A lot of cars just all nowhere to go and piled right into that.
First caution of the night, and with that type of racing, and guys, we're going 4 or 5 wide. You know, you have to expect carnage like this. We're going to take the replay, see exactly what went down. It all started with a chain reaction. Sartaj Mon going around Nick Miller, hard contact. That was a T-bone move. Joe Burgee, Harry Grindle involved. Keelan Belch had to scramble around that one. The 50 car
really hammered Joe Burgee.
Yeah, that was hard contact. That's a huge crash. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that might take a couple people out of tonight's race. There were a lot of hard hits. Nick Miller almost went up and over. See right there, the left side of his car off the ground. And right there, Kyler Wynn just gets right into that 83. Yeah, right here, Nick just came right up the track and got into that 49. Andy McDowell, you see right there, there's Kyler Wynn. I think that was the 54 of Stodinger that actually got into Burgee, not Kyler Wynn, but that was a good 7 or 8 cars. Almost half of the field involved in that one.
Michael DiMaggio in the number 3 actually pit started. He's currently being displayed 1 lap down, but unfortunately, I think he got an incident went off of that, so we did not get the lucky dog, even though he's the only one 1 lap down. Yeah, that big wreck.
Looks like Stodinger might be... Actually, no, that's the 94 of Diogo Moscato, so I guessed wrong twice on who hit the 83 of Joe Burgee. It was indeed Diogo in the 94. Of course, he hasn't raced in a while. Recently returns to racing. Unfortunately, not off to a very good start here tonight, but it looks like we're doubled up. We might go green here already.
Oh, that's right. Stacked up 2 by 2. The number 65 of Dylan will lead them to the restart, and pace car will scoot itself on in. Green flag is out as soon as the pace car slid himself on in. Dylan gets a nice jump, and here comes Bianchini, one of those dirt winners. He won the USA race. He's looking for more, as there might have been a wreck in the back. I'm not really sure.
Well, with how sideways these cars constantly get, it's very easy to mistake a simple drift for a spin. We've, of course, we've already done that a couple times here tonight. But man, these cars can get dead sideways and they'll be just fine. As we do have a caution though, and that's another collection of cars, and it looks like the same 4 cars that were involved the first time are involved yet again. That's Diogo, Nick, Sartaj, and Burgee. I believe Matthew Klein, the other car involved.
Yeah, the same drivers who were involved in that first incident all together. You see Burgee up the wall, and then the 94 gets into it, but not too a little harmless there. And I think right here is where the contact starts. Sartaj gets into Klein, then up to Moscato, Nick Miller. Burgee's in the middle of that.
Yeah, Burgee was already climbing the wall, so I think he got less damage from the wreck than he did from climbing the wall before it occurred. But yeah, like I said, same 4 people again, and Matthew Klein, who came into tonight 7th in points, directly behind 2 people who are not racing tonight. Of course, Liam Sheen suspended for tonight's event due to his actions last week, and Kilo Hankins, he mentioned the other night, unfortunately will not be able to race the rest of the Winter Series. So Matthew Klein, or Summer Series. So Matthew Klein has an opportunity here to gain some positions in the points here, potentially up into the top 5. And now you see this time, Michael DiMaggio will get the lucky dog.
We were supposed to go green
until we didn't
this lap, but currently a delay of caution. Drivers just trying to situate their positions. We do have a couple of drivers on pit road just taking damage repair and such. Not required to take any tires here, because iRacing has yet to model the rubber laydown on dirt. Just a bit, but it affects dirt differently than it does asphalt. Sartaj actually will go 1 lap down, and Jeremiah actually multiple laps down, so most likely be our first DNF, unfortunately.
Yeah, Jeremiah got a good amount of damage, I believe, from the first wreck, and yeah, Sartaj involved in both incidents. Of course, he, I believe, got 5th in the heat race, so he was off to a pretty good start to tonight's race, but unfortunately for him, he will go a lap down. But looks like we're going to go single file here for the restart, which is looks like that's been changed here in the session.
Green's out.
And
Green
Dylan
flag,
Alt
green
lead us
flag.
back to the green flag.
Now with them restarting single file, oh my goodness, look at those slide jobs being pulled toward the back, all the way to the inside. That's Andy McDowell to 20. Can't go anywhere with that run, but with it being single file, it really fanned out the field a lot with drivers. As soon as they entered one, they all started to weave out to different grooves and such. But right now, I think this track is still fairly tacky. A bit of slick there up to turns number 1, so my Alt is running a lane lower, allowing Dominic to maybe sneak up and get a run hole, fling it to the inside, and hopefully pass that number 65 of Alt. There's still a lot of grip on that inside. I'm very surprised Alt's not really fending off to that low side.
I don't think the outside has enough grip yet. I don't think the cushion's been worn in enough. But you see William Schmidt trying to make it work, but you see, unfortunately, him get into the wall. So not enough grip up there in the cushion just yet. But if William keeps running it, maybe a couple other guys jump up there, that could become a factor later on in tonight's race, as we're on board with that 79 as he's up to 3rd place here. But yeah, Dylan continues to lead here, and it looks like he's gaining just a little bit on Dominic, but that could easily be close here with a slider.
Looks like those two pilots really spread out the field significantly. Now you see these top 3 and top 4 basically a little bit separated from each other. Of course, the leaders still trying to fend off with each other. Dominic Howell over the past couple of laps have been trying to peak under the 65. So far has not worked out. William Schmidt peaking in 3rd, but now we're seeing a little more separation between these drivers. Now we're seeing what this looks like over a longer green flag run as the track starts to get more grooves, because when you have those yellow flags, you can't really develop a groove when you're going 50 miles per hour behind the pace truck. You know, now that you're starting to go a little bit quicker, you're starting to get the green flag laps in, especially with the drivers around you. Here's where the groove will start to show off, and here is where these drivers will start to utilize that right now.
Yeah, and just a side note also about Sartaj Maan, he came into tonight's race 2nd in street stock points, 33 points behind Hunter Johnson. So with only 19 people in the session tonight, there were not enough people for Sartaj to take the points lead if he were to win the race. But with him 7 laps down already, he could potentially be out of this race, and we do have another caution on the track. But for Sartaj, unfortunately, it's a missed opportunity to cut into Hunter's points lead.
Looks like the cause of the caution was the number 11 of Matthew Klein, who flipped the wall, nearly went up and over.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, overcorrect.
Yeah, Klein came into tonight's 7th in points, again behind 2 people that unfortunately were not able to race tonight. So he might still be able to pass them both, as he was within 2 points of them both. But yeah, again for Sartaj, that's really going to hurt him, because now Hunter's on the sidelines watching the All-Star race, and he's still going to walk out of here with a sizable lead.
That's right, as Dylan Alt, ever since that number 65 has snuck in the lead on lap number 2. Getting to look back from it, Dominic Howe in that number 58 needs to find a better line to get around that number 65. But since they're running single file on these restarts, it's really not allowing for some of these drivers to get selective lines coming into the first corner. And you already see right up against, I wouldn't say right up against the wall, but you definitely see some slick starting to develop on that outside. So maybe some of these drivers want to move higher, put that right rear where all that dirt's being flung up, which we like to call the cushion, where you want to fling it down low right up against that inside wall, in which we've yet to see a car run really all the way down against that inside wall. We're more toward the middle side of the racetrack. It'll be interesting on how this will turn out, as they're double foul yet again. Green flag is out. Oh, Schmidt gets hooked.
Yeah, right off the restart there, and he's going to go into the inside wall, but it looks like we're going to stay green, and that's a really tough break for that 79. We restarted up in that top 5, so he's got some work to do now to get back up there. And we've got a huge cluster of cars right here as Nick Miller's in the wall a bit, but we're almost 3 wide here out of turn number 4.
Yeah, gaggle of cars right here behind the leaders in the top 3. That's Michael Bianchini starting the train with Andy McDowell. Garrett Hess, I believe Harry Grindle's in there as well. Keelan Belsha, Nick Miller, who has damage from the handful of incidents, but still within this top 10. You're riding on board with Dominic Howell. See how much throttle he uses off of the corner, trying to really get through the middle of the corner and try to get the best ground he can over the 65. You see, look how low these two leaders are. Everyone's using the top lane right now.
Yeah, and the more these drivers use that higher lane, the more it's just going to wear off. For the 65 and 58, they're being a bit ambiguous of that lower side of the racetrack, and it's gaining them some time. Look at them. They're pulling away from third place, and Michael Bianchini, who's under fire from the 20, but not for long as the yellow flag will fly. It looks like the number 75, no, it might have been the 51 at Keelan Belsha.
Yeah, I saw the 51 start to go around out of turn 4, and it looks like it did in fact go around here. We will take a look and see what happened, and it looks like Harry Grindle came down off the wall and turned him around in a bit of contact. I believe that was Andy, as Henry Tabor barely missed him right there. So looks like Keelan may be all right here. Doesn't look like he has too much by way of damage, but a bit of a road bump here in his race tonight, as believe it or not, we're almost halfway through the race already.
I think Keelan Belsha was in that larger pack before that caution came out. He was within these guys, Harry Grindle, Nick Miller. He was in between all those guys, and of course, contact there really spun him around. Of course, that was enough to trigger the yellow. But another yellow here on lap number 27. We've blown by this race so far. Dylan Alt, Dominic Howell seem to be the most dominant. But the driver that's really in main focus as we wind down the season is Michael Bianchini in the 48. He's third in points right now. I understand that Hunter Johnson has a pretty large lead over the rest of the field, 33 points over second place Sartaj Maan. But Michael Bianchini has been one of the only drivers to really fend with Hunter Johnson. And now that Hunter Johnson isn't here, it's a good time for the 48 to really boost himself in the point standings. You see the point standings graphic on the front of your screen. Hunter Johnson, 123 points. Those are the 33 separating him and Sartaj Maan. Michael Bianchini, 80 points in third place. So that's something to watch for. This points battle continue to heat up. Sartaj Maan has been involved in some trouble early, so this could be good for that 48 coming to the end of tonight.
Yeah, to see Andy McDowell there in fourth place, only 5 behind Bianchini. So Andy's currently in third place, or in fourth place rather, so those two are side by side. So if they both finish up there, they might both leapfrog Sartaj here before tonight's over, and those two could leave second and third rather than third and fourth.
Meantime, Pace Truck will slide himself on the pit road. Green flag is out. Alt does not yet as great of a restart as I thought, but he does have the line into one. Look at the flinging going on right in the background as some of these drivers trying to get some grip throughout the track. Right up off of turn number 2, right in front. To the lead goes to 65, but it's not for long. Here comes the 58, Dominic Howell to the low side.
Yeah, to turn number 4, looks like Dylan will get it here on the high side, but it's really tight here. But into turn number 1, I think Dominic's going to get it here. But you see Dylan, that high side's really starting to come in here, and it's him and Andy both get into the wall. But definitely that outside, despite them hitting the wall, definitely more prevalent than it was at the beginning of this race.
Yeah, definitely. Andy McDowell now slides into third. You see the battle with Nick Miller and Michael Bianchini. You see everyone starting to use the higher line as the groove starts to kick in. You see these drivers using those lanes to their advantage. We have a couple guys loose on the bottom there, but no biggie on that end. And Dominic Howell has been really the only bold driver to use the bottom line to try and pick up positions. He's yet to do so successfully, but so far he's been the driver that's willing to take that risk, even if it involves possibly losing some positions on his end. You see David Bachman trying to get into positions over Michael Bianchini after Nick Miller got his way into fourth. Battle continues to rage on. We got a car around. Garrett Hess seems to be around, but no caution on the racetrack. Looks like he alt F4 just in time.
Yeah, unfortunate break for that 86. Looks like he towed it away before the caution would come out, but that's a lot of damage. Speaking of damage, Dominic in the wall right there. He'll try that bottom side once again, but yeah, we saw the bottom side really dominate the first half of this race, and now that more and more people have started to jump up high, Dylan Alt's just blazing up on that high side, but looks like he gets the wall right there. But either way, that high side, man, definitely the way to go around this track. So as we get down to closing time, probably within 10 or so laps to go, the best way to pass is probably going to be through a vicious slide job.
Yeah, no doubt about it. That middle, if I get a wider view of what the track looks like as we're following along with this number 65 of Dylan Alt, that high side is really starting to slick out, and the only way you could run that high side is by putting your right rear on that cushion to get some speed. through the center of the corner. That bottom side is still not as used as I thought. Dominic Howe is running more in the slick rather than on the tacky part. Right at the bottom. We'll go on board with this number 58 as we'll elect right up against the wall this time. Dominic Howe into the wall, but whip it right off of turn number 4. Just across the start-finish line. Not sure if... Oh! You see right there, Dominic Howe too hard.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
The yellow flag will fly. This is going to change some things as Michael Bianchini goes around.
Tough break for that 48. Of course, we were just talking about him third in points and restarted third on the previous caution, so he'll have a bit of work to do, but that's a break for Sartaj because Bianchini now 7 spots lower than he was on the restarts. That's 7 points he could have gained on Sartaj that he just missed out on, and that was not his fault.
Yeah, it seems as though David was just trying
Wow.
to... He sort of pushed him out of the way as that was happening. David was trying to get a nice corner right up off of the exit, and Michael was coming down to get a good straight line. To get straight line speed on the front stretch, and they both just collided. Just perks of dirt racing, I guess. Unfortunately,
Yeah, just both of them went for the same piece of track, and unfortunately, that's the end result. But Keelan Belsha, who was the cause of the last incident, now back up to 6th place, so a bit of a rebound for that 51. But man, the 65 and the 58, definitely the dominant cars of the night.
yeah, no doubt about it. Of course, Dylan, a lot of dirt experience under his belt. 3,000 I rating for Dominic Cow. I think, while since we've seen him in victory lane, but I know he likes running these street stocks a lot. He nearly won it, I think. The last time we were on dirt was at Lanier. But yeah, Andy McDowell and Nick Miller. I know Nick Miller, he too is a dirt racer. No surprise to see him up in the top 5. But Andy McDowell, definitely surprised to see that number 20 here in the top 5.
Yeah, and like we said before, of course, came into tonight 4th in points, and with Hunter not showing up and Sartaj... Actually, Sartaj is back up to 14th place. He came back out onto the track and he gained 3 spots. That's big for him.
Green, green,
We are
green.
back underway here at Eldora with Dylan Alt leading to the outside on the restart.
Wow, very surprised. Dominic will elect. Oh, Dylan's on the wall. We'll see if Dominic can get a run. Looks like he can't. He slipped into the slick, and that will put him nowhere. But I'm very surprised, Dominic, even though, oh, he's really in the wall that time. But for Dylan Alt, he did not fend Dominic Howe. He had a lot of bottom there on that restart. He decided to stay with Dylan Alt rather than fling it and try a slide job maneuver coming into turn number 1. Surprised to see that number 56 not take chances, especially when we're already halfway through this race. And oh boy, time's running out as you see multiple cars in the wall that time.
Yeah, you see him try the bottom right there, but to no avail. The bottom side really has become almost a graveyard in terms of places you can drive on the track. Really not working at all at this point. See Miller scrape the wall there, a couple more people in the wall. But yeah, that 51 of Keelan Belcher just mentioned him under the caution break, now up to 5th place after spinning out on the previous caution. So pretty good run going for that 51 now.
And if you look a couple of cautions back, that involved the 9 of Nick Miller, and regardless of the damage, he's still been able to put up a good run out of this. He's been able to gain position since the drop of the green flag in those last couple of restarts. To see him tag the wall a little bit, but no harm, no foul there for the 9. He might be under pressure from the 20 of Andy McDowell, but doesn't seem to be the case right now. But Nick Miller, even with the damage, even with incidents, you can still muster a good finish out of this. And then you mentioned Dewey, Keelan Belsha, who was just around a couple of restarts ago. Now he's back into this top 5, so it's certainly not over till it's over.
Yeah, and Michael Bianchini brought up the most recent caution. Now he's back up to 6th place, so that's 2 guys. The most recent 2 cautions now find themselves in 5th and 6th. And him and the car behind him both getting the wall there. That's DiMaggio, his former teammate. Yeah, DiMaggio's an up-and-down night, and there goes William Schmidt.
Yellow, yellow, yellow.
Had another car around as well toward the
Caution.
back, and the caution does fly for that
Got the caution?
car toward the back. I'm not sure who it was, though. It was a black car. We'll have to get a replay of it, but William was one of those people who, he saved it, but there were, that's on the car right behind. Not sure who that was.
I don't see anybody else involved anywhere. Maybe that was the caution.
No, there was a second, 49.
Oh, there it is. That's Sartaj.
and he came to a stop as he was trying to keep it off the inside wall. So
Yeah,
it does bring us back to pace car speed, and this will give Dominic Howe another chance to maybe fling it into turn number 1 and slide up right against that number 65 at Dylan to pounce for that lead. We'll have to see, though.
You know, Sartaj, of course, doesn't have a chance of winning the race tonight, but he was in 17th place for a good amount of the race, and now with him getting back on track, he's now up to 13th, and if he can make it 4 more laps, he'll get by Garrett Hess for 12th, so those are valuable points that Sartaj is coming back on the track and gaining. So, of course, he would have preferred to gain more on Hunter than he will, definitely trying to salvage what he can here.
Yeah, some other people who are trying to salvage some stuff, Matthew Klein, Jeremiah Bethune, they're out on the racetrack as well, but man, lost opportunity here to maybe gain something, but yet again, the 65 at Dylan Alt electing that highest side. We'll see if the 58 at Dominic Howe will fling it down low, or maybe the 9 at Nick Miller will fling it down low. We'll have to see, though. Work themselves into turn number 4 this time by the 65 will hit the throttle now. Gets a nice push from Andy McDowell. We are green, and Dominic has a big opportunity into turn number 1. Does not take it again, but Dalton's in the wall. The whole top 5 is in the wall, and Keelan on the low side might gain off of it.
Well, Dominic had a chance at a turn 2 to get past Dylan on the outside, but then he got the wall again as the caution's out again, and that is for the 70 of Harry Grindle. So another quick caution here will bring us back under the yellow flag conditions, and I have a feeling we might go back to single file for this restart.
Most likely, but see what happened as the number 70 of Harry Grindle. Everybody inside that top 5 just hit the wall. Looks like number 3 of Michael DiMaggio was trying to undercut the corner in turn number 2. Unfortunately, the 70 was there. But you mentioned it. We'll take a look at that restart again. Flag dropped. Dominic, missed opportunity coming into turn number 1. It seems as though, even though it doesn't affect you too much if you do hit the wall, the 65 at Dylan Null, he actually might want to use the wall to his advantage. You don't want to wall ride because that's against the rules, but you can use that wall to keep your car pointed straighter, right up off of exit, and get some good center speed as well. You could lay that right rear quarter panel, mash the gas, wheel it right, get yourself straight in it. Keep you right, we do go single file. So.
Yeah, I believe the rule there is if there's a caution off the restart, the next one is single file, if I remember right. But we're down to the final. Screen's a bit blurry for me. Is that 10 laps to go we're coming up on?
12.
Yeah, so definitely closing time regardless, though, as Dominic's got only a few more chances to get by that 65, and we'll see if he decides to pull a slide job here as Dylan steps on it really early, and we're back under green here at Eldora.
The 9 and Nick Miller. He'll take the chance coming into turn number 1. 3 wide in turn number 1, but unfortunately for the 9 and Miller, he goes nowhere, but will sneak himself into the hole of Andy McDowell, who's now there. Here comes the slide job for the lead. Down to the low side goes the 58. Can he clear right up off the corner? No.
He definitely closed the gap, as Nick really got the wall there out of turn 4.
Yellow.
As Andy McDowell's gone around, will that bring the caution out? Yes, it will. So that's big.
Man.
Dominic had just gotten there too. He was going to send it into the bottom there in turn number 1, I think, but unfortunately, that opportunity vaporizes with the spin of the 20.
See what happened on the replay there, and you see him trying to work the top side off of turn number 4. I think contact with Nick Miller might have been the case, and there it is. He goes around at the bottom of the racetrack and is able to stop the race car from hitting the inside wall. And of course, that's enough to trigger the yellow tonight. But now we're approaching this final stint in the race. Just 10 laps remaining. We'll probably take the green flag with just about 8 or 7 laps left in this running. And one of the things I was going to mention is the last time we ran dirt at Lanier last season, when Aiden Saunders would jump on the restart and command the field to go green, he would dive all the way to the bottom of the racetrack. Not the case with the 65 of Alt. He seems to stay to the high side. I think he's very confident in his starts so far. and he doesn't think that Dominic Howell really has anything for him on the restart. But we saw Dominic Howell is willing to make that risk to go all the way bottom and try to make a move, and he almost got it there. But I think in these last couple of laps, you know, you have to make this move now, or you know, all else will fail.
Yeah, that's right. And it seems as though Dominic wants to make the move coming into turn number 3. He wants to get a nice entrance coming. Not really nice entrance. He wants to get good momentum off of turn number 2 so he could pull a good slide job into 3. You're not up to speed into turn number 1, so I think for the 58 of Dominic Howell, I guess it's better to slide yourself in line coming into 1 rather than taking a chance on that. Take the chance coming into 1. Pace truck is in though. Green flag is out. Dominic had to lift just a bit because he nearly passed the 58 of Dylan, who's gonna fend off the inside, and he goes side by side into 2. So close, right up off the corner.
I think Dominic's going to try a slide here into turn 3. He's going to go way down on the bottom side, but Dylan takes a defensive bottom line. That's interesting. Dominic will have the high side here to turn number 4, but Dylan holds on as we just have 5 laps to go here at Eldora. And here he comes to the bottom again.
Here he goes. Dominic Howell to the bottom, trying to make it work. Dylan all tried doing it in 3 and 4, and he was able to stay in front. Now Nick Miller will try to peek himself into this top 3 and see if he can spoil the party between these two all race long. 4 laps remaining here at Eldora Speedway. It is Dylan Alt, Dominic Howell, 9, Nick Miller into the top 3. Here comes Dominic Howell trying to make a move. So far, not successful.
Yeah, he's too far back to really fling it into the corner. You see Bianchini rim ride the wall right there, but that cushion is getting smaller and smaller. Those margins of mistakes are getting ever so slightly. You saw a mistake right there. The 58 tags the wall. He'll fling it to the inside. One last ditch effort, and he's side by side with the 58.
3 laps to go here at Eldora. Not quite there for Dominic Howell. I think he's going to try one last time here, coming to the white flag, but he's going to have to gain a little bit of time to even attempt a slide job. He's too far back to clear him right now. But if he can gain just a little bit, if Dylan maybe hits the wall, so you see Dominic trying once again, just not close enough to be able to even make contact or clear, as we have a 3-car battle here, and Schmidt and Bianchini both get in the wall, and Nick Miller will try to gain those spots back on the bottom. But the white flag out here at Eldora as Miller's slide job does not work.
Yellow flag comes out.
Oh!
Oh no!
Right as the white flag was waved, and that is
Sartaj
once again. Oh, man.
He was crossing the start-finish line. Dylan has to be livid right now.
Oh.
He had the win in his hands, and
that was all Dylan.
Right as soon as he
literally as soon as that white flag came out, man, that's... I mean, Dylan still got a really good chance at winning this race, don't get me wrong, but that was Bianchini who went around somewhere, but got plowed into. See right there, that's what we were talking about before, where him and Schmidt both got the wall, but we panned away to focus on Schmidt, and he just went right around and got some help from Keelan Belsha.
Well, I cannot imagine the frustration.
Oh, he didn't hold the brake.
Yeah. Right there trying to hold the brake, and then Sartaj gets into him. But I cannot imagine how frustrated that 65 must be inside the cockpit of that race car. You mentioned crossing the line right to the white flag, and then the caution comes out. Had the win in his hands, and over that last run, that was the farthest distance we've ever seen the 65 and the 58 in terms of separation. That's the farthest they've ever been. So now a double file restart. This will be the end of the race. 3 laps to go. I'm gonna be curious to see how the 58 attacks this one. He has the lane to the bottom. We'll just see what happens.
I think there might be a delay of caution as Bianchini has just stalled it. Green flag is out because he blew the motor. One last effort for Dominic to maybe fling it into turn number 3. Dominic,
yellow.
Yep, there comes the yellow as, yeah, that's Bianchini. I expected that.
Yeah, it looks like the engine has expired on that 48, but unfortunately another Dylan Alt will have to wait again to try and get that win. So we are in, I think this is green-white checkered number 2 now with this incident. But yeah, Dominic was much closer to Dylan on that restart. But you see right there, Bianchini with that hit from Sartaj. The engine just quit on him, unfortunately. So we'll line him up and do it again. However, This could be a single file restart, though, which would
That's
definitely
right.
be in Dylan's favor.
Very true.
So of course, definitely beneficial to Dylan, because Dominic will have to try behind him, and with Dylan, of course, being able to take off whenever he wants to, this thing might be all in Dylan's hands unless he makes a mistake here.
See though, yeah, you are correct. It most likely might be a single file restart, unfortunately. But you see here, I'm very curious on why not a lot of people are using that further bottom side of the racetrack. But you saw it on the restart, Dylan Alt is just trying to fend off Dominic Howell coming into turn number 1. You see how much grip there is right up against that inside. It is unused too. We'll see if somebody can make a last-ditch effort, try to work that bottom side of the racetrack, get themselves situated for this white flag. That's even if we make it. We only have 3 attempts in iSCAR, and we're already in attempt number 2.
Closing time for sure as the pace truck will go down pit road. Dylan Alt's quick to the throttle, and we are back green here at Eldora for green-white checkered number 2.
Dylan will immediately go to the inside and fend off Dominic Howell, but Dominic, oh, he might have slipped in a slick and he'll lose some time there off of turn number 2.
He may have a shot in 3.
That's right, might have a shot coming into 3. He'll have to shove it to the low side. He's in the grippier part of the racetrack, side by side for the lead. Dominic's
White
there.
flag. Dominic almost got there. See Dylan taking the defensive line into turn number 1, but Dominic will have one more shot into turn 3. Will it be Dominic Howell? Will it be Dylan Alt? Dylan takes the bottom once again. Dominic's going to really send it into the bottom. Will not be enough. Checkered flag is out, and Dylan Alt will win here at Eldora.
Wow. What a finish. What a race as well as that was a game of chess between those top 2 of Dylan Alt and Dominic Howell. You had to elect your lines right. And to the end, we saw that top side just be the most dominant toward the middle portion of the racetrack, but, I mean, middle portion of tonight's race, but for that 58 of Dominic Howell, he used that bottom to his advantage, and here he is in victory lane.
What a story for Dylan Alt. You know, return to street stock racing after being gone from iSCAR for so long, returns to street stock racing for the first time, takes the victory. What a victory by Dylan Alt. Well deserved. Dominic Howell, I wanted to see him fight. I wanted to see him a little bit closer. I wanted to see whether they could be side by side through the final corners, but regardless, a great win for Dylan Alt. That must be amazing for him.
Yeah, and of course, you just said Dylan came back. He won the Super Speedway Series race on Saturday night in his first race back. So Dylan's 2 for 3 in his iSCAR return. So in terms of the dominant cars of the Summer Series, I think Hunter Johnson's got some stiff competition. And here is your full race results here from Eldora after 73 laps. Dylan Alt, your winner here tonight. Dominic Howell comes up just short in 2nd. William Schmidt with a nice run in 3rd. Nick Miller in 4th. Andy McDowell rounds out your top 5. Keelan Belcher with a nice run in 6th. Michael DiMaggio in 7th. David Bachman 8th. Harry Grindle in 9th. And rounding out your top 10 and the lead lap cars, Henry Tabor.
The order shown on your screen, Noah Allison is not displayed because he did not run tonight's lap. Stodinger on the logged in lap as well. Bianchini, unfortunately, the first DNF. Some of these drivers toward this through the running order try to hit the track and make up some positions. Of course, we mentioned Tajman in that number 49, finishing 13th place. Klein finishes in 12th. Jeremiah in 14th. Hess in 15th. Kyler, Diogo, Joe round out the DNFs of tonight's race. That being said, congratulations, number 65 to Dylan Alt. Go ahead and scoot ourselves to the side and get our top 3 into the booth.
where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. Here's the starting lineup. On the pole from Dawsonville, Georgia, in the number 9 Coors Ford qualifying and Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison.
His second win of 1987.
We welcome you here back alive for the iSCAR KBRN Street Stock Tour. Congratulations to that number 65 of Dylan Alt for winning it here for tonight. I actually forgot to give him the invite link for interviews, but as we get situated with that, let's just spark it off. Opposite of how we do things post race. What'd you think of tonight? We'll start with Kenneth.
I think tonight was one of the more interesting races that we've seen this season. I mean, a one-and-done dirt race for the rest of this season. Charlotte, Bristol, the next races we see on the schedule. I think this was a really good opportunity for a lot of drivers. You know, before we went live once again for post-race, I talked to Dewey just now about Keelan Belsha finishing 6th. You know, that's his best finish in iSCAR ever. I talked about at the top of the broadcast how drivers that are maybe better on dirt can take this opportunity to get better finishes, maybe take wins. Keelan Belsha was a storyline for that as well, but Dylan Alt, you know, unstoppable on the dirt tonight. Dominic Howell, I felt like really had a shot. William Schmidt was also a good contender in that top 3. Unfortunately, wasn't able to really capitalize on that through the end portion of the race as there's so many cautions. But I think a really good outing here tonight. Tonight was a really good race. You know, I think Lanier was filled with yellows. Lanier, again, had a larger field, but, you know, we had a smaller field, more condensed field, but it brought a lot of good racing tonight.
Yeah, I've definitely got to agree with that. One of the more unique races, of course, you know, these are the dirt street stocks, of course, compared to the regular street stocks we run, but street stocks nonetheless. And again, one of the more unique tracks on the schedule. Street stocks here in iSCAR don't go to dirt fairly often, but when they do, it usually puts on a really good show. And tonight, of course, was no exception. But the thing I'm going to take away from this race the most is that even though Hunter Johnson didn't show up, nobody really put a dent in his points lead at all.
Yeah, that's right. He had like a 30-point lead. 30 people had to show up for second place of Sertaj Mahmoud to have a chance, and he had to win the race, get that points lead. But for Hunter Johnson, yes, good for him for keeping the points lead. That's just showing how dominant he is on that side of spectrum. But in the meantime, we'll go ahead and drag in our first interview of tonight's post race, and into the booth goes Dylan Alt, who's number 65, who's had an amazing iSCAR return, second win of the summer series. Dylan, you got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Hey Dylan, you led 71 laps out of the scheduled 73. The only competition for you was really Dominic Howe, and during those late race restarts, you started to change up your line. Talk to me about how those track conditions just played into your favor, I guess.
At first, I was running the bottom, like it was really good on the bottom, but Dominic was really fast on the bottom, which scared me. Then in the warm up, I wanted to kept ripping the top so the top would come in the later of the race, and it actually did. Then I was surprised that I pulled away and I wanted to go long green to the end or so. But then I kept hitting the wall and stuff, losing time. But bunch of cautions, and I had to change up my restarts because that was the only way Dom would be able to pass me. But yeah, it worked out at the end.
Yeah, that's right, and that final restart, with it being single file, I'm pretty sure it benefited you a lot, from the start-finish line. For you, I mean, coming back to iSCAR after a bit of a hiatus, already your second win of the summer series. How do you feel about it, bud?
It feels great. It's like I don't know. I just basically on um my race debut ever on I can't talk on iSCAR, being uh, a rookie, I got 3 wins in a row, and then yeah, I want to see if that will happen again for my like I don't even know how many months I've been off of iSCAR, but yeah, I want to see if I can do it.
All right, Dylan Alt going for 3 wins in a row within 3 starts. Wish you good luck, and before we let go, any sponsors you want to thank you for tonight?
Just SPG and Dom for the great battle that we had. Yeah,
All right, by 10-4, Dylan Alt will round himself up top after starting himself in second. We'll go ahead and speak about your next race, bud.
thank you.
And apologies about the white flag the white flag commentary. I did say Dominic Howe crossed the start finish line first. He did not, unfortunately. But yeah, we'll go ahead and slide in Dominic Howe, who I said was the winner, into the booth. And I think Kenneth, Kenneth, you're gonna take this one.
Yeah, sure. I'll bring him in.
All right, and Dominic
You
Howe into
pulled
the
a
booth.
Marty Reed.
Let's go.
All right, Dominic, welcome to the MaxspeedTV booth. You got a copy with us?
Yeah, I got a copy.
All right, Dominic. Well, one of the more compelling runs for you here tonight at Eldora. You really had a close shot at Dylan all throughout the entire race, and I was mentioning throughout the race how bold you were for going all the way to the bottom, while really everyone was sticking to the wall. Tell us about how your how your experience went throughout those final laps behind the wheel, and really how maybe you could have strategized to get Dylan Alt in those final laps.
Yeah, I just couldn't run the high side for the life of me. Like Dylan's really great on dirt. Every time we come to Eldora, he's just ripping the high side, being really quick, and I wasn't gonna catch him by running the high side, so I had to go low. And every time we kept getting a caution and would bunch the field back up, I was like, okay, well maybe if I can get him in turn 1, then I'll be able to get him in turn 3. And every time I got there, we had a caution, and by the last time, I just like tried to get to his back, and I just ran out of time. But Dylan's really great. I'm fine to get a second. It's good points.
Yeah, a lot of cautions through that last portion of the race, but we had that long green flag run, and I know you didn't really have too much contention from the guys behind you because they were pretty much too busy battling within themselves, and you were just kind of staying in second, trying to get to Dylan Alt each time. But on that green flag run, how did the car feel? How did the track feel? I know that the track started to change over the course of the run, and I know that this race really went by very quickly, but just tell us how the car started to feel over the course of the run and really how everything started to adapt around you.
Around halfway, the high side went in, and I was able to stay right on Dylan's bumper when it was all low side. But as soon as that cushion came in and the track got real slick, I just had to maneuver my way through there, and it was not very fun. And then he started pulling away on that long run we had, and then those cautions kept me close to him. But I do not like the high side at Eldora, and I didn't think it was going to come in that quick. But it's good to race on a track that changes for once.
All right, Dominic. Well, before we let you go and celebrate your second place finish, a really good finish for you, regardless of what happened out there on track. You got any sponsors or teams you want to thank for making tonight happen?
You guys are putting on this broadcast. They've gone up in quality lately, and my proximity racing team. I don't really have them on the car because this is the car I usually run an official, but they're a good team.
All right, Dominic. Well, congratulations on a great second place finish, and we hope to see you down next week at Bristol, all the way to the season finale at Charlotte. We hope to see you there, and good luck.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
That was Dominic Howe in for 58. We'll go ahead and slide in one more person. William Schmidt finishing in third place. Dewey, go ahead and take this one.
All right, William, got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you had a pretty quiet night overall, but a quiet top 5 night, rounding yourself out in third. So I guess how was your car overall, man?
It handled pretty good for the first half of the race, and then something happened where Bianchini just decided that he was gonna fly up the track and doored Hess into me, and I was up against the wall, rear end tail slapped the fence, and screwed with my steering a lot. So that wasn't a fun 10 laps, and then ended up hitting the inside wall, which then straightened it back out somehow, and then just made up ground from there.
Well, despite that, you still ended up with a pretty solid finish and a pretty good points day. But man, I kind of lost for what to say. But I guess I'll pose it this way: how'd you like running the dirt in the street stocks compared to the usual pavement races we run?
Dirt, it's a lot. Honestly, how do I say this? It's a lot more fun than normal street stocks. Let's say that.
Well, I would definitely believe that. Of course, it was a really fun show up here as well, and definitely better than what we saw last week at Darlington. But hey, before I let you go, any sponsors you want to thank here for tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank Side Drafting Productions, and I don't know, after the Super Speedway race last week, I don't know if Motorsport United is still with us, but yeah, definitely Side Drafting Productions is up to Justin Johnson if he still wants me to thank his sponsor, but yeah.
All right, William Schmidt rounds out your podium in third place. Hope to see you back for the rest of the weekend in the series, bud.
All right, thank you.
And that was William for 79, and with the interviews rounded out, I want to go ahead and thank our viewers here for tonight's event. Of course, iSCAR now shifting into 9 p.m. Eastern time zone for the rest of the season, but will still happen on the classic days of Wednesday through Sunday. Some broadcasts on MSTV will not be going as usual as planned. Some of them will be broadcasted on KMN. Some of them will be broadcasted as well by KBRN, which is actually the street stock sponsor. Kenneth, you want to go ahead and plug?
Yeah, sure. I guess if you gave me the opportunity. Since I sponsored this series, KBRN stands for the K1 Racing Network. We do iRacing broadcasts usually every Monday, trying to expand on what we have here, and sponsoring this series. I guess. I mean, if you want to tune in, just search up K10 Space Racing Space Network. You'll find that right there. You can look at all our broadcasts and what we've done over the past couple of months. And yeah, sure. But I mean, we have no other social media, so that's pretty much where you can find us. But I think we're trying to expand on that front as well.
All right, bud. And with that rounded out, we want to thank all our viewers for tuning in for tonight. I know the NASCAR All-Star event was going on as well. Glad our loyal viewers came to go ahead and watch a fun dirt event here for this evening. That said, my name is Icarus.
I'm Dewey Schramm.
And I'm Kenneth Bueno.
Thank you for watching, and we'll see you tomorrow night on KMN for the Modifieds at South Boston.